very beautiful good evening to all. I, Dr. Anupma Sharma from GSK PG College, Chair. I am assistant professor over there from 2012. I, over here, on behalf of Progressive Literary and Cultural Society, welcome you all. I welcome you all on our Facebook page. Today, we are going live to explore the ancient Greek literature and culture. This is this very society aims to promote global literature and culture. Before going further, I would like to throw light on some beautiful contribution of Greek literature. First of all, Greek literature gives us a great philosophers like Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates. You heard all about that. It provides a special type of drama also, and the concept of democracy in which we are living right now. The concept of democracy was also the part of Greek culture and literature. And in the field of games, we can see Olympic Games in which every country participates. And the Greek literature also provides us some classical writers, one great writer, Homer, and his great works, Iliad and Odyssey also. In the present event, we are going to take the interview of Greek poet and teacher, Smaragdi Mitropoulou, and today's interviewers are Dr. Shaminas, who is the founder of our Progressive Literary Society, and the other interviewer is Dr. Manisha Singh, who is the Vice President of this very cultural society. First of all, I would like to also tell you about something today's interview, that is Smaragdi Mitropoulou, who was born in Athens. She was studied history and archaeology at the University of Athens and had postgraduate history studies at the University of Cardiff in Great Britain. She serves in secondary education also. She is also a creative writing graduate from the Writers Bureau College that is in Manchester, UK, and has studied theatre writing at the International Theatre Institute and directing at the Foundation of Culture, basically, in that island. She is a member of Greek Association of Literary Works and Association of Greek Writers of 5 continents also. She has been honored twice by fictional Larry Niven Prize for Literature Fantasy category. In the Fantasy category, she got that. During Panorama International Literary Festival 2020, held in India by Indus Scrolls Press in cooperation with Writers Capital International Foundation, she was honored by Panorama Youth Literary Award in 2020. She is a program coordinator of Writers Capital International Foundation also. This is the brief biography or about our today's interview. So let me start today's interview to explore. We are taking this event right now to explore some ancient contemporary Greek literature and culture. That's why we are taking this event to take interview this Greek poet and a teacher. Okay, I am giving Dr. Shaminas.
Thank you so much, Anu, for such a wonderful description of Greek literature and welcoming us.
Welcome.
Thank you, and welcome Smaragdi from the team of PLCS and also the Indian team of PLCS. We in India loves Greek literature a lot. We have, that is why me and Dr. Manisha, we wanted to showcase the ancient and Greek literature through your medium. Actually, we have in India we have a special place for Greek literature, and our literary criticism, politics is not read without reading Plato, Aristotle or Socrates. So we have, and we love them a lot. maybe around the world Homer is more famous, but in India we like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle most. And the base of literary criticism is the conversation between Plato and Aristotle. And in India we give example of Shashwat love. No? We like the love which Meera had for Lord Krishna, that is called pure love, Shashwat love. In the same, that is compared with the theme, the concept of platonic love, which was means explained by Plato. So we all love and respect Greek literature and a lot, and hopefully we have a good discussion with you. So first I would like welcome on our forum. First, I would like to ask you about your poetical journey.
Certainly, a warm hello from Greece to India. I would like to thank you, Dr. Manisha and Dr. Somenas, for this chance, for inviting me to talk about me and about my poetical journey. My poetical journey and my literary journey in general, it started in my teenage years. I used to write down verses and short stories in notebooks, and these notebooks are still in a drawer of my library in my paternal home. These were my first writing attempts. Up to now I have written 4 books. It's 1 theatre play, 2 short story collection and a poetry collection, which have been published and launched in Greece. One of them, One Moment Just an Eternity, has been translated in English and was published last year by On Time Books in Great Britain. And God willing, soon my other books will be translated in English. I'd like to mention the titles there. My other books, Sounds of Silence, short story collection, Before the Sun Sets, a theatre play, and Barsat, the dance rain. I have also taken part in several poetic anthologies and poetry festivals in Greece and abroad. Poetry and literature are a journey which has no end. A journey that I enjoy every step of the way. From my teenage years till now.
It's very sweet of you to know about your poetical journey.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to know that which poet has inspired you the most in your life?
There are many, it's not just one, so many. Each one has provided me with valuable insight, really. But I would like to mention here William Shakespeare, Virginia Woolf, Emily Dickinson, Nazim Hikmet, George Seferis, Nobel Prize 1963, and Odysseus Elitis, Nobel Prize 1979. As you see, Greek poetry has not only 1 but 2 Nobel Prizes. And as far as story writing, I would like to mention Najib Mahfouz from Egypt, Nobel Prize 1988. Zilber Sinoué. Zilber Sinoué is one of my favorite writers of historical novel. Gilbert Sinoué is a man of 4 countries: Greece, Egypt, Israel, and France. His father was Egyptian, his mother was French, his grandmother from his father's side was Greek, and his grandmother on his mom's side was from Israel. I have also admired Ildefonso Falcones from Spain, Kate Morton, Josephine Cox from England, she's my favorite, Barbara Taylor from Bradford, and of course there are also many contemporary writers and poets of younger generations in Greece and abroad, which I admire and appreciate. Each one I said has given me so much. Because there is what we call, there is always interaction between generations of poets and authors. We give things and we take things. We give things, we take things. since the beginning of time.
Ex-
This is
Excellent,
my big
truly
truth.
wonderful. This is what Greek literature is given to the world, and what a collection you have. You have mentioned poet from means many part of the world, from Egypt, from England, from America, and of course your own country. Tell me, Greek literature is considered as the basis of all literature. Do you like any ancient Greek writer?
Indeed, Greek literature has a great history, and yes, I will say it is the base of international literature, because all the other literature of the world, especially British literature, is greatly inspired by us Greeks. You can clearly see the examples in William Shakespeare, for example. Well, I admire Homer, the epic poet of Iliad and the Odyssey.
Excuse me.
Also, I have taught Iliad and Odyssey for many years in high school. I admire the lyric poets, the Greek lyric poets. My favorite is Sappho, who was a romantic soul, and the Pindarus. Pindarus composed hymns to gods and heroes. I also admire the three great tragic poets, Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. And I would like to mention about ancient Greek theater. They depicted great and timeless values of life. What I mean about timeless values? For every human, for every generation, for every era. We should not forget that ancient theater formed consciences, and at the same time, collective consciousness was shaped. Combining religion, social and political criticism with education, it became a hub, an important crossroad for the components that usually produce cultural action. I also admire Herodotus, the father of history, according to Cicero. His historical work is not simply about the conflict between Greeks and Persians. It is in reality about the conflict between two different worlds. I have also taught Herodotus at high school. I also admire and respect Thucydides. Thucydides is a historian in a more scientific sense, and he emphasizes through his historical work that as long as human nature remains the same, then history will be repeated again and again. Thucydides writes about the civil war, the Peloponnesian War, between Athens, Sparta, and their allies. And of course, we should not forget the field of philosophy, Plato and Aristotle. Through their teaching and their work, they recognize the privilege of people to be able to know reality and become possessors of truth. So as you see, Greek literature ancient Greek literature has flourished in all fields: poetry, epic poetry, drama poetry, history, philosophy, and of course, yes, we should also remember Aristophanes, Greek comedy. He made people laugh, he made people smile, but also he made people think seriously about everything. But
It's very
he
nice
gave all
to
this in a humorous way.
This all shows that you are an extensive reader and you have
Yes.
read so many of the writers and poets around the world. It's good to know
Yes,
about
yes. I'm an avid reader, this is true.
that. Now we'd like to know that what is the status of contemporary Greek literature, the current Greek literature?
Yeah, Greek literature of today. Very rich, I would say, Greek literature and publishing activity. Every year come out several remarkable books in all genres. I mean, novels, short stories, poetry, theatrical. During last year, especially during last year when our lives came upside down due to COVID, for many of us, books were faithful friends and refuge. They helped us to keep ourselves sane. This is true. It's noteworthy that a large part of the reading public has turned beyond the novel to short stories and poetry, and they also support young and emerging creators. Actually, I would like to say that there are many good poets and authors of the younger generation, and I truly believe that they will be given all possible help to bring themselves into light. I'm sure that it will be good for literature and society in general. I would say true that as an avid reader, I choose to read and study works from young writers, young teenage I mean, and I'm surprised from the quality of their work, happily surprised, and that's why I strongly believe that they should be given any possible help. They have so much to offer to literature and society. This is what we call fresh voices.
Indeed, truly.
Yeah, fresh voices.
Yes, indeed. Do you think your country should revive the glory of ancient Greek literature, as we see now the Greek literature has lost its glory which it had earlier?
Good of ancient Greek literature because it has timeless ideas and morals. I will start with the ancient theater first because every summer performances of ancient tragedy and comedy are held at the ancient theater of Epidavros. Epidavros is a small town about 3 hours from Athens. And also there are various workshops and seminars on ancient Greek literature. They are organized by museums as part of school activities. I would like to mention here the Museum of School Life and Education in Athens. It organizes literary works for students. Now, of course, these literary works are online due to COVID. Through these literary works, they come in contact with the works of classical authors. And also illustrated books for children are published every year with themes from ancient Greek mythology. No, as for me personally, I think I do my very best to contribute to this. I teach ancient Greek literature in secondary education, and I have attended various teaching seminars in order to be both efficient and creative and maintain the interest of my students. So, yes, I'm doing my very best to contribute. Not only me, also other teachers, each one from his own perspective.
In fact, it is our responsibility to cherish our culture and carry it forward to the future. So, academically, you are a graduate in history and archaeology, but you write poetry. How did you develop interest in poetry?
Well, along with my studies in the field of history and archaeology, I also read poetry, classic and contemporary poets, and I was also writing poetry and short stories. My poems, at least my first poems, were based on heroes of the classical mythology. Sources of inspirations were ancient vases, statues, and ruins of ancient buildings. Several years ago, when I had visited the ruins of the sanctuary of god Zeus on Mount Lyceum in Arcadia, inspiration struck. I took a notebook out of my bag and began to write down the plot of a mystery story that took place at the temple of Zeus. Also, as an archaeology student, during a visit to the Archaeological Museum of Athens, I wrote a poem dedicated to a tomb statue of a young girl named Pasiclia. But in general, though I believe that poetry is something that comes from the heart and soul, regardless of the studies or the profession of the creator. So I would say that my studies in history and archaeology helped me as far as the themes of my poetic work and my inspiration. Some of my themes, at least. I hope someday I shall be able to turn this mystery story into a book, because it's still in notes in my notebook and in my laptop, but I shall put it also in. Its time will come. I shall put it into action. Its time will come.
It's great. You are doing a very good job. So, tell me, British literature is very much inspired and influenced by Greek literature. But if we see in the current time, it is much more popular around the world than Greek literature. What do you think is the reason behind this popularity of Greek literature and lagging behind of, popularity of British literature and Greek literature being lagging behind?
I think, yes, although British literature was inspired by Greek literature, in current times it's more popular. Well, it's a matter of language. I would say it's a matter of language, because you see, English language is international. What does it mean? International language. But the English language literary production is better known around the world. But on the other hand, in recent years, many work by current Greek authors have been translated into English and circulated on the world market, reaching thus a wider audience. Some of them have become international bestsellers through Amazon. So I would say that Greek literature through English translations is making a new opening to the world market, and I'm sure it will be more than good, this opening. More than great. I'm sure about that.
Our best wishes are there with you all. Now, we'd like to know that why did you choose to write in English, though the literature of your native language is very rich?
Well, I write my poems and stories in my native language, first and foremost. But I believe that English language is a passport of literature around the world. It builds bridges. So I write in my native language, and then I translate my work into English. A big part of my work, it's true, especially my poetry, has been translated in English and also in Chinese, in the language of Taiwan, in Bengali language, and it has been published in blogs and journals around the world. I would like to mention Blossom's Journal in Philippines, Atunis Poetry, Belgium, Jasmine Colors in Tunisia, Nanhua Times in Taiwan, Poetry Magazine and Silk Road Poetry in China again. So you see, it's starting from English language, starting from the international language, which is English, it gets the chance to be translated in other languages too. But first and foremost, my work is written in my native language, in Greek. And then I do the translation, either me or a professional translator. So yes, English, I would say English language is a passport of literature around the world, which means it builds bridges. Literature, literature and poetry unites people. This is my belief.
Yes, that is why we all are united. We in India are talking to a person in Greece. So you participate in so many online events, as I have already seen you since an year. Do you think digital platform are helping writers, young writer or writers like us?
Yeah, the last few months I have participated in online poetry events and literature events in Europe and Asia. I think that digital technology enables writers, helps writers to publish their work in innovative ways and engage audiences like never before. We can see the Amazon example. As analyst Benedict Evans wrote a few months ago, in print books, Amazon has a generally recognized 50% or more of the American market, and at least 3/4 of publishers' e-book sales. In e-books, it sells at least 3/4 of publishers' e-books, and also it has its own e-book publishing business for which it has never disclosed any data. The thing is that during Corona epidemic, the platform of Amazon was a great help for international publishers. My book, my English book, has become an international bestseller thanks to Amazon. And also during the COVID period, people abroad mostly found it more practical to order e-books than printed books. Because with the e-book, you order, you place your order, you pay, and within few minutes the link comes to your email. But with a printed book, it takes more time. Of course, as much as I'm familiarized with technology, I would say that I mostly go for printed books. Traditional, I'm more traditional. But yes, digital platforms help writers. Help them publish their work, help us publish our work, help us to engage bigger audiences, help us to get to know each other. It's, technology also functions like a bridge between human beings, between countries, between nations. I mean, we've got our example here. You're in India, I'm miles away in Greece, but thanks to technology, we're here talking.
Yes, now there's no distance between Greece and India through this technology. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for being the bestseller for your book. And before continuing further, we would like you to recite one of your poems.
With all my heart, I would like to. On paper, I inscribed gorgeous application to long-forgotten gods. Shadows around me are trying ancient prayers to remind. How can a soul calm? It hears, it feels, tears and weak breaths. O deities of my Lord ancestors, I wish I could relieve our agony and pain. On paper, I inscribe gorgeous application.
Very nice. Now we'd like to know, yes, what are the themes you take when you write your poems? What are the themes?
First of all, I would like to talk about my sources of inspiration for writing. I can be inspired by a photo, by a song, by a single word or a phrase. I can be inspired gazing at the sea, the sunset or the sunrise. I always have a notebook and a pen with me and also a camera. Even an old house can be a source of inspiration. Now, the main themes of my poems are love and passion, loss, nostalgia and hope. There is a mix of joy and sadness in their content, but human life also is like that. It's a set of happy and sad moments. The secret is to endure, never give up and keep smiling. This is the secret.
Very good, Smaragdi. We would like to listen one more of your poem.
Lovely, thank you. Well, let me read you one of my favorite poems. This is called Barsat. I am expecting you. My colorful bracelets are rambling while I dance under the sky clouds. You will come to me, I can feel it. A word only, Barsat at the time of rain. Barsat and dancing never stops.
Basat is an Indian word.
Of course, yes.
Good to see that you are
More
using.
than my mom's favorite movie, Barsat.
Raj Kapoor
Yeah.
and Nargis. You told me that you like
Yes.
Raj Kapoor and Nargis a lot. You know, if you look at
Yes.
Dr. Manisha, she resembles Nargis.
Yeah.
So,
India.
huh? Anu?
Mom, India, my favorite movie.
Yes,
Nargis.
she is very simple na, but she resembles Nargis a lot. So, coming up to the question.
Of language, current Greek literature is a continuation and the fruit of ancient Greek literature. Now about thaumatology, in both ancient Greek and modern Greek literature, certain theme is the human. The human with his virtues and flaws, his passions, his dilemmas, his struggles, and his agony. It has to do with several kinds of literature and the way of expression. For example, in our time, prose, and especially the novel, flourish more. Of course, poetry always has its own readers. There are people who love to reading poetry, including me. And also with the help of technology and the media, many projects can become known to the general public faster. For example, by adapting a book for a TV series or a movie. But as far as thaumatology, it's the same, it's the human at the center. The means are different. As I mentioned earlier, the ideas and the morals of ancient literature are diachronic, are timeless. They apply to all people regardless of time, regardless of era.
Right. Now, we have talked about the differences. Now, we would like to know that is there any resemblance or relationship between ancient Greece and Egyptian culture?
Well, the friend country, as we used to call Egyptians, yes, the relationship and the friendship between Egypt and Greece, between Egyptian and Greek culture, it dates back thousands of years. I would like mostly to focus on ancient times here. Well, the Greeks lived in Egypt since ancient times. The historian Herodotus mentions that the Greeks were one of the first groups of foreigners to ever live in the country of Egypt. And according to Diodorus of Sicily, the mythological Rhodiactes built the city of Heliopolis. Heliopolis means the city of sun. And also Athenians built another city called Sais. During the Great Flood, while all Greek cities were destroyed, the Greek cities of Egypt survived in a miraculous way. In 7th century before Christ, the city of Nafkratis was founded by Greeks in ancient Egypt. It was the only permanent Greek colony in Egypt, which worked as connecting link in the coexistence and exchange of Greek elements with Egyptian culture. During Alexander the Great now toured Egypt during the early stages of his campaign. This time Egypt was under Persian control, and they surrendered to Alexander without a fight. They saw Alexander the Great as liberator. Of course, Alexander respected the pharaonic religions and the local traditions and customs, and the Egyptian priesthood proclaimed him as Pharaoh of Egypt. There, of course, he founded the city of Alexandria, And after his death, Egypt was given to Ptolemy, one of his generals. Ptolemy legitimized his rule by acquiring Alexander's body in 321 before Christ, placed it in a golden coffin, first in Memphis and then in Alexandria. The tomb of Alexander the Great was one of the most famous sites of the city of Alexandria for many years. The successors of Ptolemy were the last royal dynasty of Egypt. It was a glorious dynasty with a strong Greek character. Alexandria was the capital city. Ptolemy and his descendants respected the Egyptian traditions and used them to their advantage. Alexandria became a commercial center of the Hellenistic period and a spiritual source of arts and sciences. The lighthouse of Alexandria during the reign of Ptolemy II was one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. The library of Alexandria was the largest library in the world until its successive stages of destruction by Romans, Christians and Arabs, unfortunately. The last member of the Greek pharaohs was Queen Cleopatra. Queen Cleopatra committed suicide in 30 BC, a year after the naval battle of Actium. With its defeat, the Roman Empire became the new ruler of Egypt and of the entire Mediterranean also. Under Roman rule, the Greek element remained strong in Egypt. The language used was Greek, except in administrative and military matters, where Latin was official language. So during the Greco-Roman rule, Egypt hosted many Greek settlements, mainly around Alexandria, but also in some other cities where the Greek settlers lived next to the native Egyptians, and they got on really well. There was also a thriving Greek community in modern times, in current years, mostly in Alexandria and in Cairo, the capital of Egypt, and also in some other cities of the country. But there is a strong friendship going back to ancient times till now. We are calling each other French country. And they are very friendly and very happy. They're very friendly towards us. Greeks visit Egypt, they welcome us with open arms, like family members.
Friend, a poet, George Onsey from Alexandria. Thank you, Smaragdi, for giving us such a wonderful information, because we were not aware of many things which you have told us today. So, and indeed, we Indian also have some relationship with the ancient Greek during the time of, I think, Chandragupta Maurya. Manisha Di, Chandragupta Maurya's second wife was from Greek. Am I right? Helena, the second wife of Chandragupta Maurya was from Greece. So now coming to your book, One Moment Just an Eternity has been translated from Greek language to English. Do you think translation mars the charm of any work? And we would also like to hear a poem from this book.
In my opinion, a good and accurate literary translation can stand worthily next to the original work. It is considered successful, the translation is considered successful when, while we read the translated work, we forget that it is translated, but we think that it has been written directly in the language that was translated. For example, it has happened to me several times when I read books by foreign authors translated in Greek. I shall read to you, some thoughts, some verses which are, give some idea uh, for the plot of the book. It's dreams, decisions, choices. It's enough sometimes for just a tiny bit of fate to change the course of the so-called fairy line of life and change everything, everything. Because a mark can last forever, and one moment is enough to mark the soul for an eternity. This is it. Consists of short stories, not poems and novels only. It's a short story collection. The central theme.
Oh, okay.
The title of your book, One Moment, Just an Eternity. It seems to be very interesting. So we would like to know in detail about this book.
Yeah. It has been published by On Time Books. It's an English publishing company. It is available on Amazon.com as an e-book and as printed book. It has also become a bestseller in 8 countries. Well, this book is a journey of the soul. I started writing in Tinos, the island of Holy Mary. It ended in Patmos, the island of Holy Revelation, with several stations in between. These stories were written in a leather-bound notebook on winter nights, and so the result of this journey is one moment, just an eternity. Well, it's true that at first the title sounds strange, but behind it there is a great truth. Can an eternity last for a moment? Well, the answer is yes. It can stay forever in the suitcases of memory, which will carry it sometimes as a lot of stones and sometimes as a butterfly. One little moment is true that has the power to change everything. Decisions that are made all of a sudden, when curtains are drawn and what was previously not visibly revealed, you know, curtains of hesitation, selfishness, timidity. Can an eternity be trapped in the world only? Well, yes, it may be trapped. Time is relative, actually. The word only intensifies the duration of eternity, since this is self-evident. One moment, just an eternity, consists of 2 parts. The first part is a short novel, and the second part consists of 8 short stories. They all have a central axis, a central theme. This click that there is the switch, it identifies from the beginning the lives of the heroes and the generations that follow them. One moment, just an eternity, speaks about one moment, one tiny moment, one detail that can change lives forever. Not only of the heroes of the stories, but also the generations that follow. That's why I called it One Moment, Just an Eternity.
Dear, after yes.
Can be eternity.
Okay. Dear, after hearing this from you, we wish to read this book of yours. If you would like to send us through email or something like that. So, coming to your question, do you think as a poet you are following the tradition of or legacy of Greek literature? Please recite one of a poem which you think is following the legacy of Greek literature.
I think I'm doing my very best to follow it. Actually, poetry and literature in general combine elements of the past and the present. Timeless ideas that concern every person and every era. All of us with our work add a little stone to the building called literature. We have a tradition, a legacy, which we follow not by copying, not by clinging to it, but by evolving our writing and our way of thinking. We embrace the past, looking to the future, and I humbly try to do the same. Yes, one poem I would like to share with you is Homeland of the Heart. Under the desert sky and next to the river, but silently crosses the palm trees, a land blessed by gods waits for the wayfarers. Soil and water, sun, bread and love.
Where do you see yourself after 10 years?
Although I do not make long-term plans, well, in decade I believe that I will have retired from my job. I will be in my early 60s, and but I think I will still be active and creative. I will definitely have more time to do things I love, like writing, traveling, dancing, walking by the sea. Well, age is able to enjoy things, having more free time.
Excellent idea, I must say. Excellent idea. Smaragdi, do you have any poem to recite, because we are on the last question?
Yes, of course I have. I would like to recite my poem Eternity. Eternity. Sky is a foreign land. Angels are travel birds, looking for their familiar old places. You spread your wings over the oceans with a red fire scarf, a kiss on the eyes, or rainbow in the heart. There is no goodbye to this love. You will be back here again on the sea waves, wandering around the straits of time.
Very good. In the end, we would like to ask you to give any, do you have any message to give to the young budding poet of Greece to be successful in their life?
Yes, of course, I would advise them to read a lot, to observe the events around them and the feelings of the people, to have an open mind, to collect experiences and to experiment, of course, to write, to erase. In other words, I would say that the winner is someone who did not let his defeats make him give up. This is what I would like to say.
Thanks.
The winner is someone who did not let his defeats make him give up. So they should never give up.
Wonderful, wonderful. Do you have anything, any message to give to us also?
I'm feeling honored and blessed to have been invited by you to talk about me, my work, about Greek culture. And I wish you all the best. Be healthy, be creative. I hope and wish that we shall have the chance to meet up face to face, not only through technology, God willing, and the best is yet to come. No, poetry unites people. Poetry unites nations. Poetry unites countries. Poetry unites the globe.
Yes, indeed. Now over to you,
Because it makes
Anupma.
people one family.
Now over to you, Anupma.
Anupma,
Okay, welcome. And thank you all. Smaragdi giving such a
I thank you
wonderful
also.
interview. I am so much inspired by your quote, never give up your smile. You said never give up your smile.
Thank you.
And
You also keep
also
smiling.
said poetry that comes from heart. Wordsworth also said that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling, and you are so much inspired by British poet, British romantic poet Wordsworth. And
Thank you.
your Greek literature also flourished, epic poetry, epic, and many other things. And your favorite poem, Barsat, I was so much inspired by all that. And
Thank you.
I say thank you to the interviewers, Dr. Shaminaz and Dr. Manisha Singh also for taking such a wonderful interview and such a wonderful and inspiring questions asked by both of them about the glory of Greek culture and literature. And Dr. Manisha also said about you, Smaragdi, about you, the Greek poet. You are the expansive reader also.
word. Is it which of this word belongs to which language? Which Smaragdi has used in her poem?
I have written it in Greek. Barsat, the Dutch rain, I have written it in Greek.
So the word
And
Barsat is a Greek word.
Indian. It's Indian. But I had written the poem in Greek and then I translated it in English by myself.
Okay.
She's
Means it is a Indian word.
she's so much inspired by the
It's an
movie.
Indian word which we have used. That's the Hindi word.
Yes, Deep.
Yeah.
She told me
Barsat.
on
When my
Smaragdi called me to wish me on Holi.
The rain.
Smaragdi called me to wish me on Holi. Then she told me that her mother and they both liked Raj Kapoor and Nargis very
Yeah.
much, and some of the movies in which they both have worked together, like Barsat and other movies. So they like this movie very much, and I think